You can't change the past, but you can shape your future. The more you discuss your mistakes, the less space you leave for thinking about new possibilities. Holding on to past regrets can keep you stuck in a cycle of negativity, making it harder to move forward and achieve your goals. It's also important to recognize that everyone makes mistakes. No one is perfect. If you're constantly talking about your errors, you risk isolating yourself from others. People might start to see you as someone who is defined by their mistakes rather than their potential. This is why it's important to strike a balance between acknowledging your past errors and focusing on the future. The more you dwell on your mistakes, the less others will see your strengths, and that can hold you back from creating new opportunities for yourself. Another danger of constantly discussing your past mistakes is that it can create a mindset of self-doubt. When you keep bringing up your failures, it can make you question your abilities and your worth. You may start thinking that you're destined to keep repeating the same mistakes or that you're not capable of doing things right. This self-doubt can limit your potential, and it can prevent you from even trying to reach your goals. If you're always looking back at what you've done wrong, you can't fully focus on what you can do right. Your past mistakes do not determine your future unless you allow them to. When you keep discussing them, you reinforce the idea that they have power over you. It's easy to get caught up in the idea that because you failed once, you'll always fail. But that's simply not true. Every successful person has failed at some point, and many have failed multiple times before they got it right. What sets them apart is their ability to those failures and keep moving forward. They don't let past mistakes stop them. They use them as stepping stones towards success. When you keep bringing up your past mistakes, it's also easy to become a victim of your own story. Talking too much about what went wrong in your life can make you feel like you have no control over your circumstances. But the truth is, you always have the power to change your future. The more you talk about your past failures, the more it becomes your identity. Instead of seeing yourself as someone who has learned and grown, you start seeing yourself as someone who is stuck in the past. That mindset limits your ability to achieve anything new. One of the best things you can do is focus on the lessons you've learned rather than the mistakes you've made. Every mistake carries a lesson, and those lessons are the key to growth. If you constantly talk about the negative aspects of your past, you miss the opportunity to embrace the positive changes you've made since then. Growth is about moving forward, not about staying stuck in a cycle of regret. When you keep your past mistakes private, you give yourself the chance to reflect on them in a constructive way, without the need to explain or justify them to anyone else. You can take the lessons, learn from them, and use them to become a stronger and wiser person. Keeping your past mistakes to yourself doesn't mean hiding them or pretending they never happened. It means taking responsibility for them, learning from them, and moving on. You don't need to keep bringing them up in every conversation. People who dwell on their past mistakes often use them as an excuse for why things aren't going well in their present. But that's not the way to move forward. You have to take control of your narrative. By not constantly talking about your past mistakes, you can focus on the positive actions you're taking now to build a better future. It's also worth noting that when you share your mistakes too freely, you might invite others to focus on them too. People who don't know your full story might judge you based on what you've shared. When you keep your mistakes to yourself, you protect yourself from unnecessary judgment. You don't have to explain every wrong turn you've taken. What matters most is what you're doing now, how you're improving, and the steps you're taking towards your goals. People who truly care about you will focus on your growth, not your past. Your past mistakes are a part of your story, but they don't have to be the defining chapters. By not constantly talking about them, you allow yourself to create a new narrative. One where you've learned from your mistakes and used them to become the person you are today. When you focus on the future, you give yourself the freedom to grow and evolve. Keep your mistakes in the past where they belong and let them guide you forward instead of holding you back. Number 7, spiritual and religious beliefs. We all have personal beliefs, and many of them are deeply tied to our sense of who we are. These beliefs can shape our values, guide our decisions, and provide us with comfort during difficult times. However, not everyone needs to know what you believe when it comes to matters of spirituality or religion. These are intimate aspects of our identity, and sharing them too freely can lead to unnecessary misunderstandings, judgments, or even unwanted debates. When you share your spiritual or religious beliefs too often, you open yourself up to others' scrutiny. Everyone has their own perspective on faith and spirituality, and they might not always agree with you. In fact, they might challenge your beliefs, question them, or even criticize them in ways that feel personal. These kinds of discussions can quickly escalate into arguments, creating tension where there doesn't need to be any. More importantly, sharing these beliefs too frequently can leave you feeling vulnerable. If others misunderstand or reject what you hold sacred, it can feel like an attack on a very core part of who you are. Your spirituality or religion is personal, and how you practice it or what you believe doesn't need to be on display for others to comment on. While it's natural to seek understanding or even validation for what you believe, talking too much about it can result in conflict or confusion. The more you open up about your spiritual practices or religious views, the more likely you are to encounter people who disagree or question your choices. While healthy conversations about faith are possible, they're not always the right kind of conversations to have in every situation. Keeping these beliefs to yourself can protect you from unnecessary friction and allow you to maintain peace with others. At the same time, when you reveal too much about your beliefs, you may inadvertently limit the opportunities available to you. People might form opinions about your character based on what they think about your religion or spirituality. If they don't share the same beliefs, they may misunderstand your intentions or assume that you don't align with their own values. This can affect your personal and professional relationships, potentially closing doors that would otherwise remain open. In some cases, you might even find yourself being excluded from certain opportunities because of the beliefs you've shared. A major reason to keep your spiritual or religious beliefs private is that it prevents unnecessary judgment. In today's world, people can be quick to judge others based on a variety of factors, including their beliefs. By keeping your beliefs to yourself, you avoid being reduced to a label or stereotype. You allow people to see you as a whole person, not just someone who adheres to a particular faith. Sharing too much can cause people to pigeonhole you into a narrow view of who you are, limiting the depth of the relationship. If they only see you through the lens of your beliefs, they might miss the broader picture of your character, your values, and your goals. One of the dangers of revealing too much about your spiritual or religious beliefs is that it can lead to unwanted pressure. Sometimes, people will start to question your beliefs, trying to push their own onto you. In a world where everyone feels the need to convince others of their viewpoint, your beliefs may become a battleground rather than a source of personal strength. People might expect you to justify yourself, explain your choices, or even defend your faith. This is not only exhausting, but can lead to feelings of frustration. When you keep these beliefs to yourself, you avoid the constant need to defend them to others. In some cases, revealing too much about your beliefs can even create isolation. If you belong to a particular religious group or spiritual tradition, sharing that information too freely can make you feel like an outsider if others don't understand or accept your beliefs. You might feel disconnected from people who don't share the same views. This can create a sense of loneliness or alienation, especially when you're surrounded by people who may not understand your faith or spiritual practices. By keeping these beliefs private, you avoid the risk of exclusion or judgment and maintain a sense of peace within yourself. Your beliefs are part of your personal journey, and they're not something that needs to be shared with everyone. The way you connect to your spirituality is a deeply individual experience. Just as you wouldn't feel the need to broadcast other personal aspects of your life, such as your finances or your family matters, your spiritual life doesn't need to be put on display either. Some of the most profound spiritual experiences happen in private moments where no one else is around to witness or judge them. These moments are yours alone to cherish, and there's no need to explain them to anyone else. Moreover, by keeping your beliefs private, you leave room for others to express their own ideas without feeling judged. Just as you value your own faith or spirituality, others value theirs. When you respect their privacy, they are more likely to respect yours. These mutual boundaries create an environment of trust and understanding, where both people can grow in their beliefs without feeling threatened or undermined. The more you share about your own beliefs, the more likely you are to make others feel that they must defend or explain theirs. This creates a back and forth that can get tiring, and it ultimately detracts from the peaceful environment you're trying to create. Additionally, the focus should always be on personal growth. If you spend too much time discussing your beliefs with others, you risk getting stuck in a cycle of comparison. You may start to question whether you believe the right things or if others are practicing their faith in a more correct way. This comparison can stifle your growth and prevent you from developing a deeper, more personal connection to your spirituality. When you keep your beliefs to yourself, you give yourself the freedom to grow at your own pace, without the distractions or pressures of external opinions. Beliefs are powerful, and they have the potential to shape your life in extraordinary ways, but they don't need to be shared with everyone you meet. There's nothing wrong with discussing your spirituality with people who are close to you, those you trust, and who share similar values. But beyond that, constantly talking about your beliefs can open you up to conflict and misunderstandings that aren't helpful. You are not obligated to explain your faith to anyone, nor should you feel the need to justify your beliefs in front of others. Your connection to your spirituality is a private, personal matter, and keeping it that way allows you to maintain peace within yourself and with those around you. In a world where so much attention is placed on what others believe, it's refreshing to keep your beliefs to yourself. You don't have to prove anything to anyone. The truth of your beliefs is something that you know in your heart, and that's enough. By holding on to your personal beliefs privately, you safeguard yourself from judgment, unnecessary debates, and potential misinterpretations. In the end, the peace you find in your spirituality is the most important thing, and it doesn't need to be explained or shared with anyone who isn't ready to understand it. Number 8, personal struggles and hardships. Personal struggles and hardships are an inevitable part of life. We all face challenges that can feel overwhelming at times. These experiences can shape us, teach us, and even strengthen us. However, some struggles are deeply personal, and sharing them too freely can make us feel vulnerable or exposed. Keeping these hardships to yourself to a certain extent can actually empower you to grow without the constant pressure of others' opinions or judgments. When you talk about your struggles too often, there's a risk of letting them define you. You may start to see yourself only through the lens of what's gone wrong, rather than how you're overcoming those obstacles. This constant focus on your difficulties can turn into a narrative that holds you back. If you're always talking about what's hard, it can be easy to forget what's good. People around you might begin to associate you with your struggles, rather than with your strength or resilience. This isn't the image you want to project to the world. You want to be seen as someone who's capable of rising above their challenges, not as someone who's consumed by them. The more you talk about your struggles, the more energy you give to them. It's important to process your feelings and work through your hardships. But when you share them too much, you can start to feel like you're living in a constant cycle of negativity. When you keep everything on the surface, you're not allowing yourself the space to heal or move forward. The more you talk about what's wrong, the harder it is to focus on what's right. It's easy to get stuck in a loop of complaining or explaining your struggles to others. It can feel cathartic in the moment, but in the long run, it doesn't help you make progress. One thing that many people overlook is the effect that constantly talking about your personal struggles can have on others. When you share too much, you risk burdening the people around you with your problems. They may not always know how to help, and their sympathy can turn into a form of pity. This can create an imbalance in your relationships, where you start to feel like the person who's always in need, rather than someone who's capable of giving and receiving support. It can also make others uncomfortable, especially if they don't know how to relate to what you're going through. It's important to be mindful of how your struggles are impacting those around you. And sometimes keeping things private can protect your relationships from becoming too one-sided. Moreover, there's something incredibly empowering about handling your personal struggles privately. When you're able to work through challenges without constantly sharing them, you gain a sense of control. You don't have to explain yourself to anyone, and you can take the time you need to process things at your own pace. There's no rush, no pressure to be understood or validated by others. This approach allows you to focus on finding your own solutions without constantly seeking approval or advice. The more you keep to yourself, the more you allow space for personal growth, and you'll begin to see how capable you really are. Sometimes we get so caught up in seeking validation or sympathy that we forget to empower ourselves. We may share our struggles because we want others to acknowledge our pain, or we might want someone to make us feel better. But the truth is, the most effective way to get through hardships is by building your own resilience. This doesn't mean shutting everyone out or pretending like everything is fine. But there's a balance between reaching out for support when necessary and relying too heavily on others to fix things for you. When you talk too much about your struggles, it can feel like you're depending on others for a sense of relief, rather than taking charge of your own healing. There is also the danger of creating a false identity around your struggles. If you constantly talk about your hardships, you may start to believe that they are what define you. You may even begin to feel like you're incapable of overcoming them, or that they're always going to be a part of your story. This is a limiting mindset. Struggles are just a part of life, not the sum of it. Keeping these challenges private allows you to control how you shape your own story. You are more than your struggles, and your journey is about how you navigate through them, not how you relive them in conversation. We often feel a need to explain ourselves when we're going through tough times. But sharing too many details can often lead to others making assumptions or judgments about you. When your personal struggles are constantly on display, people may start to label you in ways that are limiting. They might see you as someone who's always in trouble or as someone who can't handle things. This isn't the way you want to be seen. By keeping your struggles to yourself, you give people the opportunity to see you as someone who is strong, capable, and able to handle life's challenges without constantly seeking approval or sympathy. At the same time, it's important to remember that not everyone around you needs to know every detail of your struggles. Some things are better kept private, not because you're ashamed of them, but because they are a part of your personal growth process. You don't owe anyone an explanation for every difficult moment in your life. Sharing your struggles too frequently can make it harder for people to see the full picture of who you are. They might only remember you for the difficult times you've faced, rather than for the ways you've grown and learned. Another reason to keep personal struggles private is that it allows you to maintain a sense of dignity. You don't have to let everyone into your personal life, especially when it involves things that are painful or sensitive. There's nothing wrong with handling things quietly, without the need for constant validation or recognition. In fact, it can be incredibly freeing. You take control of how you process your emotions, how you handle your challenges, and how you move forward. When you share too much, it can feel like you're surrendering that control and allowing others to dictate how your struggles should be perceived. It's worth remembering that everyone has their own struggles. While it's important to acknowledge your hardships, it's equally important to respect the privacy of others. When you keep your struggles to yourself, you're not only protecting your own peace, but also giving others the space to deal with their own challenges. There's no need to create a constant cycle of comparing pain or competing for sympathy. We're all facing our own battles, and the best way to deal with them is quietly and with grace. At the end of the day, your personal struggles are part of your story, but they don't need to be the only part that you share. By keeping them to yourself, you allow yourself the space to heal, to grow, and to move forward. You don't need to seek validation from others in order to feel validated. You are enough, and the strength you show in facing your hardships privately speaks louder than any words you could share. Your journey is yours to shape, and the more you keep your struggles private, the more you empower yourself to rise above them. Number 9, private relationships. When it comes to personal relationships, we all have people in our lives who are special to us. These relationships, whether they are with a partner, a close friend, or someone else important, can be a huge source of joy, support, and fulfillment. However, not everyone needs to know the details of these relationships, especially when it comes to their inner workings. Sharing too much about your private relationships can lead to unnecessary complications, misunderstandings, and even harm to the very relationships you're trying to protect. Every relationship has its ups and downs, its own challenges and moments of growth. But when you open up about these private matters too much, you risk exposing vulnerabilities that may not be ready to be shared with the world. When others get involved in the details of your personal relationships, it can create an environment where people start to form opinions that aren't necessarily based on the full picture. It's easy for others to misunderstand or misinterpret what's happening between you and the other person. They may only hear one side of the story and not fully grasp the context or emotions involved. This can lead to judgments that are unfair, or worse, lead to gossip that harms the trust in your relationship. Moreover, opening up too much about your relationship with others can cause them to start seeing you differently. People often have a tendency to give unsolicited advice, and when they know too much about your personal life, they may begin to offer opinions or suggestions that may not be helpful or relevant. It can become overwhelming when everyone around you feels they have the right to weigh in on your relationship. What works for you and the person you're with may not work for someone else, and their suggestions, while well-meaning, might only add confusion or tension. Keeping your relationship private allows you to navigate its challenges and successes without the added pressure of outside opinions. Personal relationships are not just about what's happening at the moment, but also about the trust that's built between two people over time. When you share too much, you risk breaking that trust, not just with the person you're in the relationship with, but with others who may feel the need to get involved. Trust is the foundation of any relationship, and once it's damaged, it's hard to rebuild. When people share their relationship struggles or too many intimate details with others, it can erode that trust. Even if the intentions are good, the emotional impact of others knowing private matters can be damaging. It's essential to safeguard the trust between you and your partner by keeping your private moments just that private. Another important reason to keep personal relationships private is the emotional security it provides. Relationships often go through phases, and not every phase is perfect. There may be moments of conflict, doubt, or frustration, but those moments are part of the process of working through them and strengthening the bond. If those moments are shared with too many people, it can create emotional instability. Once too many people are aware of a disagreement or issue in your relationship, it can feel like the whole world is watching, and that's a lot of pressure. You and your partner need the space to work things out without the added stress of outside judgment or the fear that others will take sides. There is also the risk of vulnerability when discussing your relationships too openly. You can give too much away, not just about your partner, but about yourself as well. When you share too much about the most private parts of your life, you make yourself vulnerable to people who may not have the best intentions. There are always people who might take advantage of your openness, using the information you've shared against you, even if they don't mean to harm you. This is why keeping your personal relationships private can act as a form of emotional protection. It's a way to guard your own well-being as well as that of the person you care about. Everyone is entitled to a level of privacy in their lives, especially when it comes to relationships that are deeply personal and meaningful. By not oversharing, you create a safe space for both you and your partner. There are moments in every relationship where both people need to be able to work through things in their own way without external interference. By keeping the details of your relationship private, you give each other the freedom to grow, learn, and evolve without the added burden of outside opinions or scrutiny. Relationships thrive in an environment where both people feel free to be themselves without fear of being judged or misunderstood by the people around them. In addition, sharing too much about your relationship can lead to unnecessary drama. There's always a risk that once information is shared, it will spread to other people, and it might not be in the way you intended. Sometimes, well-meaning friends or family members can pass along details or opinions that weren't meant to be shared. Once that happens, things can quickly spiral out of control, leading to misunderstandings and creating conflict where there was none before. Keeping things private helps to avoid this kind of drama, allowing you to maintain peace in your personal life. Another thing to consider is that people often have different values and perspectives on relationships. What works for one person may not work for another. If you share too much about your relationship, others might begin to impose their own values or expectations onto your situation. They might question your choices or tell you what they think you should be doing based on their own experiences. This can create confusion and doubt, making you second-guess your decisions when, in reality, you know what's best for you and your partner. It's important to recognize that your relationship is unique, and it's up to you and the other person to decide what's best for both of you. Sometimes we also have the urge to seek validation or reassurance from others about our relationships. While it's natural to want to talk to someone we trust about what we're going through, it's also important to remember that we don't always need others to validate our choices. You are the best judge of your own relationships, and keeping them private allows you to trust your own instincts. If you're constantly seeking validation from others, you may begin to rely too much on their opinions rather than your own judgment. By keeping your relationship private, you maintain a sense of control over your own life and choices. Remember that you have the power to protect what matters most. Relationships are delicate and they deserve respect. By keeping certain aspects of your relationship private, you're showing respect not just for your partner, but for the relationship itself. It allows you to preserve its intimacy, trust, and security. You're protecting the space where both of you can grow, heal, and build a stronger bond. When you keep your relationship private, you're giving it the opportunity to thrive, free from the outside noise that can sometimes interfere with its natural flow. Number 10, future plans and strategies. Planning for the future is a journey that requires quiet determination and a clear mind. It is a process where every step taken builds toward a vision that only you truly understand. The idea of mapping out a future filled with success and fulfillment can be both exciting and daunting. The path you choose is yours alone, and it is important to guard the details of that path from those who may not share your unique perspective. When you protect your future plans and strategies, you create an environment where progress can happen without the interference of external doubts or expectations. Envisioning where you want to go is an exercise that demands both introspection and resolve. There is a subtle strength in keeping your future endeavors private, as it allows you to work on them with uninterrupted focus. It is common to dream about what could be, but the quiet commitment to turning dreams into reality must come from within. In your private moments, you outline goals that reflect your deepest aspirations, free from the clutter of external opinions. This internal work lays a solid foundation for taking meaningful steps forward. Every plan you make is like a blueprint for your life, crafted carefully with the intention to shape the days ahead. You may have a detailed strategy that involves specific actions and milestones, or perhaps it is a more abstract vision that gradually unfolds with time. In either case, keeping these plans to yourself means you are in full control of your creative process. When others are not privy to your detailed strategies, you can adjust your course as needed without the pressure of having to explain every pivot or setback. This freedom is essential to remain agile in a world that is constantly changing. The strategy behind planning for the future involves a blend of discipline and imagination. It is about setting realistic goals while still daring to aim high. Working on these plans in solitude provides the clarity to understand what truly matters and what is merely noise. The process requires careful thought, as each decision has the potential to alter your course in unexpected ways. As you refine your strategies, you build a mental map that guides you through challenges and helps you seize opportunities when they arise. This map remains yours and yours alone, a treasured secret that fuels your drive. A private future plan is not meant to be a guarded secret out of fear, but rather a deliberate choice to cultivate an inner space for growth. By withholding details, you create a barrier against premature judgments and unsolicited advice that might derail your progress. When your plans are only known to you, they have the chance to evolve naturally without external interference. This is particularly important when the journey is fraught with obstacles that require creative problem solving and persistence. The ability to revise and improve your strategies without the burden of public scrutiny is a powerful tool in the pursuit of success. Each day brings new challenges and opportunities, and having a private strategy allows you to stay focused on what you truly want to achieve. It is a chance to invest time and energy in learning, adapting, and refining your approach. The quiet commitment to your future ensures that you do not get sidetracked by the noise of other people's expectations. This approach gives you the strength to remain true to your goals, even when the path is uncertain. The process of developing your strategy is a personal one that evolves with every experience and lesson learned along the way. Working on your future plans in private also means that you can take risks without fear of immediate judgment. It is in these risk-filled moments that great progress is often made. When you do not have to announce every decision, you can experiment with new ideas and take bold steps that might seem unconventional to an outsider. This experimental phase is critical because it provides the freedom to fail and learn without the burden of external accountability. The ability to iterate on your plans, to adjust and pivot, is a cornerstone of any meaningful strategy. The secret nature of your plans can act as a protective shield, ensuring that the energy you invest in your work remains undiluted. When your strategies are not on display for everyone to see, you avoid the distraction of constant comparisons or unsolicited critiques. Instead, you channel that energy into building a solid foundation that will support your future successes. The process becomes one of inner strength and resilience, where every small victory contributes to a larger picture that only you can fully appreciate. This internal focus is what ultimately leads to breakthroughs and moments of clarity that drive you forward. It is common to face discouraging setbacks when working toward long-term goals, but a private strategy offers you the freedom to process these challenges on your own terms. In these moments, you can reflect on what went wrong without the pressure of having to justify your actions to others. The private nature of your plan gives you the space to learn and improve quietly, without fear that a temporary setback will be misinterpreted by those who do not see the full context of your journey. This self-reliance builds confidence as you come to trust your own judgment and capabilities over the opinions of others. Focusing on your future in solitude allows you to embrace your unique talents and perspectives. There is value in knowing that your plans are not constrained by the expectations or limitations of those around you. Instead, they are a pure reflection of your vision, molded by your experiences, dreams, and hard-earned insights. This unfiltered approach is a reminder that the best strategies are those that resonate with your true self, untainted by external biases or trends. As you carve out your path, the inner work you do in private is what sets you apart and fuels your journey toward achieving extraordinary results. In every phase of planning, there is a quiet power that comes from nurturing your ideas in a private space. This power grows as you commit to incremental progress, celebrating small wins along the way that build momentum for larger achievements. Your strategy is like a seed that, when carefully tended to, blossoms into a vision realized. The patience to let these ideas grow without immediate exposure is a strength that empowers you to overcome the unpredictable nature of life. Maintaining the confidentiality of your plans ensures that your focus remains sharp and your intentions clear, guiding you through each twist and turn of your journey. The discipline required to keep your future plans confidential is itself a form of strength. It is a reminder that the value of your ideas does not depend on public validation, but on the inner belief that they are worth pursuing. This belief is what carries you through moments of doubt and hardship, reaffirming your commitment to the path you have chosen. As you work quietly toward your goals, you learn to trust the process and the gradual unfolding of your potential. Each decision, each adjustment made in the privacy of your own thoughts contributes to a larger narrative of personal growth and achievement. As time goes on, the private strategies you have nurtured may eventually come to fruition in ways that exceed your expectations. The journey is marked by dedication, perseverance, and a willingness to take calculated risks without the distraction of external opinions. When you eventually share your success, it is a testament to the power of focused, undisturbed effort. The steps you took in solitude are the building blocks of your accomplishments, each one contributing to a legacy that is uniquely yours. Your achievements become a reflection of your inner work, a quiet triumph that speaks volumes about your ability to transform dreams into reality. In the quiet moments when you look back on your journey, you may find that the decision to keep your plans private was one of the most empowering choices you made. It allowed you to live authentically, to work diligently toward goals that truly mattered, and to build a future that was both fulfilling and resilient. The inner strength cultivated during this process is not just about achieving success. It is about becoming the person you always aspired to be. The clarity that comes from working on your future in private lays the groundwork for a life lived with purpose and determination. The careful cultivation of your future plans in solitude serves as a testament to the value of personal vision and integrity. It is a reminder that the road to success is paved with quiet moments of dedication, thoughtful planning, and the unyielding belief in your own potential. The strategies you develop in the privacy of your own mind are the seeds of the life you will lead, nurtured away from the distractions of the outside world. This focus allows you to navigate the challenges of life with resilience, always keeping your eyes on the horizon and your heart dedicated to the journey ahead. Thank you for staying with me through this journey. Remember, protecting these important parts of your life isn't about hiding, it's about keeping your focus and energy where they belong. Hold close what matters and let your actions speak louder than words. Take care and keep moving forward.
Don't forget to subscribe for daily motivational content.